and thank you for coming today. Over the last few months, I've had the chance to work closely with municipal leaders from across the province as we move forward to reach our shared goal of building 1.5 million homes by 2031. I've been encouraged to hear how many of the changes our government has made have helped to speed up approvals and cut red tape and get more shovels in the ground. I've also listened closely to how we can make additional changes that will get more homes built. So today I'm announcing the next steps we are taking to respond to this feedback and continue our efforts to tackle Ontario's housing supply crisis. First, in response to advice from the experts who make up the Peel Region Transition Board, we will be proposing to recalibrate the board's mandate through our new legislation to be introduced next year. Our goal in reviewing Peel's local governance structure has always been to provide the highest level of service at the lowest cost to taxpayers. But thanks to the work that has been done by the board over the last few months and in response to municipal feedback, including from regional service providers and first responders, it is clear that full dissolution of Peel is not the best way to achieve this goal. The evidence we have seen is clear. Full dissolution would disrupt critical services and lead to higher taxes for the people of Mississauga, Brampton, and Caledon. And while some people might be okay with that, our government clearly is not. That is why we'll be asking the board to shift its focus to how we can improve regional services like policing, paramedics, and public health, while also recommending how we can optimize services that will help build more homes, including land use planning, servicing, roads, waste management. This balanced approach will give Peel Region's residents and employees the certainty they deserve, while also providing taxpayers the best value for their money. We're also proposing to revoke or amend a number of ministers' zoning orders as part of a new use it or lose it policy. So in September, I asked my ministry to review past zoning orders approved since 2018 based on how much progress has been made to date on each project. The ministry considered whether substantial progress has been made on the additional downstream approvals needed for project development, as well as how much progress was made addressing water and wastewater servicing within a reasonable time frame. As a result of this review, we are proposing to revoke or amend 8 existing MZOs that are not related to housing. Another 14 housing-related MZOs are now under enhanced monitoring to ensure that they continue to show progress. Now, I've always been clear that if we do not see the results we expect from a minister's zoning order, our government will not hesitate to amend or revoke it. It sends a clear message that when we issue a zoning order to support priorities like housing, long-term care, we expect to see results. We will also be launching consultations on a go-forward framework on how we receive and approve requests for ministers' zoning orders. This new progress will be more open and transparent while maintaining this important tool to cut through red tape and get shovels in the ground sooner. Finally, we are going to be reviewing the impact of the More Homes Built Faster Act when it comes to the development-related charges. We want to strike the right balance to lower costs on the types of homes we need the most, while supporting municipalities as they build housing-enabling infrastructure. We will be consulting with key stakeholders ahead of the next housing bill to develop a definition of attainable housing that will be exempt from development charges under the Act, but that will be limited to modular homes built on surplus government lands. These modular homes will kickstart our government's attainable housing program to help more Ontario families find a home that meets their needs and budgets while limiting the impact on municipal budgets. In addition, our discussions with municipalities will continue. We will be eliminating or terminating, the audits of the 6 municipalities that were started previously. Instead, we will be consulting with municipalities on the impact of the More Homes Built Faster Act and their ability to fund infrastructure, but we want to hear from municipalities on 3 potential changes. The first, the 5-year phase-in of development charge increases, the removal of studies as an eligible capital cost for development charges, and the planning application fee refund framework. At the same time, we are keeping in place the existing development charge exemptions and reductions for nonprofit, affordable, and purpose-built rental homes to continue to incentivize the construction of these much-needed homes. We'll continue our historic levels of support to municipalities to help them build infrastructure, including the $1.2 billion Building Faster Fund, the new $200 million Housing Enabling Water System Fund, and our $400 million Community Infrastructure Fund. As we do, we also need the federal government to be a willing and able partner in supporting our province's growth and investing in our infrastructure. The measures I'm announcing today strike the right balance as we work to build 1.5 million homes. They show respect for taxpayers, respond to municipal concerns, and reflect the need to cut red tape, reduce duplication, and keep costs down to get shovels in the ground. They also lay the framework for the next Housing Supply Action Plan, which will be launched next year, and will continue our ambitious work to build more homes for families, homes that they need and deserve. And with that, I can take any questions.
Minister, are you worried about the ghost of Hazel McCallion haunting you? I mean, the Premier made her a deathbed promise earlier this year, and you introduced an act called the Hazel McCallion Act. It passed very quickly in May, passed in June. Aren't you worried about that Premier Ford breaking that deathbed promise to Hazel McCallion?
Well, look, what I know about Hazel McCallion is that she was a very, very strong advocate, obviously, for Mississauga, a great mayor, but also somebody who focused on keeping costs down for municipalities. It's one of the reasons why Mississauga had such incredible growth under Hazel McCallion. She understood that you have to keep costs down, that you have to encourage growth in a community. And I think some of the things that we're talking about today respect what Mayor McCallion would have wanted. We're talking about things like fully proclaiming Bill 23, which allows land use planning to be focused exclusively on lower tier municipalities, while maintaining policing and social services that are so important to across Peel region. As I said, the couple of times I met Mayor McCallion, both admittedly when I was a federal member, she was very firm. Keep costs down, cut red tape, and that's how you will grow a community.
What do you say to people that would suggest that you're doing this to spite Bonnie Crombie because she's the Mississauga mayor now, but soon she will be a potential electoral threat to Premier Ford?
Look, the work what I'm announcing today is work that I've been under a lot of consultation with other municipal leaders, with AMO. It is part of the recommendations that have come from the Peel transition panel. Frankly, a work that could not have been done if it wasn't for the passing of the Hazel McCallion Act. I think there's some very innovative opportunities that we see coming out of the panel's report. And as I just said, look, we understand that a full dissolution of Peel, whether it's the police, paramedics, social services, was going to cost people a lot of money. And while Mayor Crombie believes that dissolution at any cost, I don't think that's something that Hazel McCallion would have liked, and it's certainly not something that our government is going to do. I've said it in the legislature a number of times that I want to ensure that we keep costs low for the people of Peel, but at the same time move on our goal of building 1.5 million homes.
Doesn't this whole thing, though, just a voter looking at this, doesn't it just tell people of just the incredible incompetence of this government? I mean, all these initiatives, marquee initiatives that have been pulled back after flaws revealed by various reports and so on, just a slapdash. I mean, wouldn't it have been good to have a board figure out whether it was going to cost more money or less before you pass legislation to break up Peel region?
Yeah, it's really easy to say that, but it was the Hazel McCallion Act that allowed us to put together the Peel Transition Board, that allowed us to really dig into how this would work, what the costs would be. It is the work of the Transition Board that. Let me finish.
Peel region is over.
Let me finish, Jeff.
That's not what the Act does. The Act says it's over.
Let me finish, if that's okay. I can answer your subsequent question. I won't limit you on questions. The Transition Board allowed us to get to the point where we understand. Now, look, the reality is that, yes, Brampton and Caledon and the region of Peel themselves were fully engaged in the process the entire time. Mississauga, not so much. But it is that work of the Transition Board in cooperation with the work that is being done by a legislative committee right now that's looking into governance across the regions that I think will really help inform what is, I think, some really good progress on building 1.5 million homes. Proclaiming Bill 23 and moving land use planning down to the lower tiers, the work that we're going to be doing on water and wastewater, the work that the Transition Board identified with respect to roads. These are some really, really good opportunities, not only in Peel, but opportunities that we can use in other parts of the region. I look at York Region, Durham, and across the regions where we are studying right now, which will really, I think, unleash, remove red tape, unlock the backlog, and get shovels in the ground much faster on building homes, while at the same time really respecting what we're hearing from a lot of communities. I hear it time and time and time again. The duplication between regions, the upper tier and the lower tier, is holding back construction. It's duplicative, it's wasting money. So I think that's what the Transition Board allowed us to do. And I'll just say this last thing, I'll let you get to the second question. The other parts of it with respect to the Bill 23, the phase-in and the studies, as well as something that I've heard from municipalities. And I think that will also help us moving forward, getting shovels in the ground.
What do you say to people who say, look, the Greenbelt, all these things have been pulled back. This government doesn't know what it's doing. I mean, there's a lot of evidence this government does not know what it's doing.
Look, I'm quite excited by this. To be honest with you, I'm very excited by this. The opportunity for us to eliminate red tape and duplication because of the work that has been done by the Peel Transition Board, the work that we'll be able to do in other regions. Look, we've got the highest level of housing starts that we've had in a long time in this province because of the work that we've been doing to eliminate red tape. The work that we've been doing not only to eliminate red tape and to incentivize purpose-built rentals has seen us at the highest level ever of purpose-built rentals. And we are focused exclusively, and I've said this a lot of times, you've heard me in the House probably to the point where you get bored of it. I want to build 1.5 million homes. People deserve to get out of their parents' basements, and that is what has to be the government's focus going forward. There is so much progress that we've made on that. More work to do, though, and I'm excited by this today. It's a good next step in getting us to where we need to go.
So what numbers have you actually seen? We've heard the numbers from Brampton. What numbers have you actually seen to support what you're saying that it would actually cost taxpayers a lot of money?
Yeah, obviously we've heard the numbers from Brampton. We've heard a lot of delegations, also from Caledon. I've heard from Peel Region. I've heard from Peel Police. I've heard from Peel paramedics. I'm the long-term care minister. I certainly know what devolving, I was the long-term care minister, excuse me. I certainly know what devolving long-term care into the three component parts, the costs that would be, the work that the Transition Board has been doing, John and the team has been doing, really have helped identify that not only would this be very costly to devolve into the three component parts, not only would it cost local ratepayers significantly, but equally important, it would cause a level of uncertainty that would stop us from getting the shovels in the ground. Look, I need about 260,000 homes to come out of Peel Region in order to meet my targets. And increasing property taxes, not allowing for an elimination of duplication in between the three levels of government, and not focusing on water and wastewater in those areas, I think would be a huge detriment to that. But ultimately, it would have cost taxpayers a lot. And as I said, look, we could have made the decision to continue on at any cost. I'm fairly certain that Mayor Crombie will feel differently today, and that she will suggest that at any cost we should have moved forward with this. I'm not prepared to do that, and I think this strikes a good balance. But it is also something that we can look at through some of the other regions as well. So I'm quite excited by this, to be honest with you.
None of this really has changed. I mean, Patrick Brown was saying that it was going to cost taxpayers a lot even before you passed the legislation. You'll acknowledge that. So why would your government have passed a bill to dissolve Peel Region and then done the homework to figure out how much it would cost?
The bill allowed us to appoint a transition team. It allowed us to do the work with Peel. It allowed us to do the work with Caledon and Brampton, and to the extent that Mississauga, the mayor of Mississauga was or wasn't participating, it still allowed us to do that work in that area, which has helped frame what we are coming forward with today. Frankly, we would not have been able to get to that if it wasn't for that. I see this as
good governance.
I see what the transition team has brought forward to me because of the Hazel McCallion Act and our ability to really dig down as being transformative, not only for Peel, but frankly, the work that they will be able to continue to do in other parts of the community, York Region, Durham, Halton, I think will really help us unleash that building program, which will get us to the 1.5 million homes. So I'm quite excited by this, and I've heard it from municipalities a lot. Hear from like the mayor of Stouffville. Mayor Lovett is frequently upset at the duplication in planning between Stouffville. They might approve something, and then the region will have a difference of opinion on what should be approved, and it stalls development. And I've heard this across municipalities. I've heard it from AMO. The transition board allowed us to put this to rest once and for all. Well, keeping land use planning at the lower tier, social services that are important to so many people at the upper tier. And we would not have been in a position to do that had we not had all of the facts on the table.
Minister, autism, license plates, the Greenbelt reversal, boundary change reversal. Help me out here. Notwithstanding clause on education workers, imposing a contract on them. The list goes on. Which one?
Clean energy.
Clean
Bill
energy. I mean, we
124.
can all name so many things your government has reversed. Does your government think before it acts?
Well, look, I can come back to you with this. 700,000 people have the dignity of a job that didn't have a dignity of a job before we came into office. Billions of dollars of investments that did not happen in this province before we came to office. We saw manufacturing being hollowed out. We've seen $28 billion worth of investment coming back to the province. We have the largest investment in new auto, the electric green technology auto in North America, happening right here in the province of Ontario. That didn't exist before we came to government. We have thousands of jobs in St. Thomas because of that. Windsor.
You had to backtrack on an unprecedented number of major policies.
We've been focused, Cynthia, on building an economy that works for the people of the province of Ontario, focused on building homes. The things that we've done, as I've said, some of the programs that we brought forward have seen us to the highest level of housing starts in over a decade. Purpose-built rental housing, the highest level in the history of the province. 700,000 people have a job. We are unleashing the opportunity in Northern Ontario, opportunity that did not exist. The Ring of Fire, how many times have we talked about the Ring of Fire? And we are starting to see opportunity in Northern Ontario like we have never seen before. We are building subways in Toronto. That we debated. Man, when I was the federal member of parliament, I announced Shepherd maybe 3 different times. But we are finally seeing a Scarborough subway being built, billions of dollars, the Ontario line being built, GO train services that have been expanded, roads and highways that had been on the books for years that are finally being built. We're seeing the massive investments that we've done in our healthcare. In our healthcare system, long-term care. I can't tell you how proud I am of what we are doing in long-term care. 58,000 long-term care homes in communities that never have had them before. So I'm really, really proud of what we've done, Cynthia. But more importantly, this phase of housing is going to be challenging. It is always going to be challenging. When you see the interest rate increase that we've had in the shortest amount of time ever, it is always going to be challenged, but we're going to be focused on building 1.5 million homes, and that's what today is all about.
Is there a reason why we're not hearing from counts? Just brass tacks here. Will Peel Region have an elected council governing it in 2026? I think this is the question about dissolution at its most basic.
It will, yes.
Okay. Related to this, I promise, but does the government know what it's doing yet with electoral boundaries in Southern Ontario? Will you be just adopting the federal boundaries?
It's not been something I've been focused on at all, to be honest with you. So I'm not even sure that the federal government has actually changed the boundaries themselves yet. So I don't know.
For Brampton and Caledon to get an additional seat, while Mississauga is not. And my question is basically whether the government is pursuing this because it sees more political advantage in the more rapidly growing municipality of Brampton and Caledon.
Honestly, no, absolutely not. No.
On the municipal finance audits, my understanding from talking to the municipalities affected is that those interim reports are either almost done or actually done. What is the point of canceling audits if the work is already done?
Well, obviously, today's announcement. First, we have a new deal with the City of Toronto that has changed the financial picture in the City of Toronto. What we're announcing today, with respect to the PL transition, also the updates that we're seeking to get with respect to the Bill 23, the definition of attainable housing, which will be focused exclusively on government surplus lands, that had not been factored into many of the municipalities. Determination of what the cost would be, the studies being considered to be put back into the development charges, the definition that we just passed unanimously in the House with respect to affordable housing, which was very widely accepted by our municipal partners as well, has completely changed the outlook of where we're going. Now we're going to work with our municipalities for the next housing supply bill, which will be introduced early in the year when the House comes back. So given all of that, it seemed counterproductive to continue on audits when the financial situation has completely changed. And we're responding to some of the things that we've heard, both from our municipal partners, frankly, but also from the home building community that says, look, you got to get shovels in the ground. We're willing to do our part, but help make it faster for us to do so.
So all that work is essentially outdated. Are you able to say what you spent so far on those audits?
I'll get back to you. I don't, it's a very small amount, to be honest with you.
Minister, is there a reason why we're not hearing from the Premier about this announcement in regards to Peel today?
Look, I'm sure when the Premier comes out, you can ask him the questions that you need to ask. I've been working on this very, very closely with the Premier. I've given him, frankly, all of the comments. We've worked just extremely closely, and he said to me one thing: you can't cost taxpayers. He's completely uninterested in seeing taxes increase for the people of Mississauga, Brampton, and Caledon. And the second thing he has said to me is focus on getting the homes built, 1.5 million homes built. Look what we've seen across some of the areas. Mississauga itself, I said this last week, look, this is a community that, I think they got 70 shovels in the ground in September or in October, maybe not even. Their population has decreased. They have some of the worst housing starts in Ontario. We got to focus on getting shovels in the ground and doing it in a way that supports our municipalities, gets home builders doing it faster, and at the same time gives people the ability, the dream shouldn't be one for a small group of people. Everybody should have that dream of getting out of their parents' basement, owning their first home, getting into their first rental apartment. And for far too many people, they think that is out of sight for them. We're going to make sure that it's not, and I think this goes a long way to helping us do that. But thank you, everybody. I appreciate the opportunity to be with you. Have a very good holiday season. If I could just say one last thing to anybody who hasn't had the opportunity to come down to the Legislative Assembly, please come down and see how beautiful this place is, and congratulations to the staff here who've made this building just so beautiful over the holiday season. Thank you, everybody, for your patience.